Yeah, we suck right now. The culture is actually like, I'm just praying for the Lord to deliver me from the pick sixes.
As the new NFL season officially begins with the start of free agency, there are unfortunately some things we must go over. New rules. As with most things the league has done, it's allegedly meant to improve the game, but some of them have led to more controversy than not. One of these changes that totally won't cause this is the banning of the hip drop tackle. Any infraction called by officials will now be 15 yards and an automatic first down. Another judgment call penalty and a league plagued by them. Oh, wonderful. The replay booth can now review instances of roughing the passer and intentional grounding. But knowing how well the pass interference reviews went, my hopes aren't high. What could be ironically useful are the new kickoff rules. They had to do something about them. The kickoff had been relegated to nothing but touchbacks for the most part. If you watched the XFL this past year, there'll be a slightly modified version of them. The kicker kicks off at his 35-yard line, and the kickoff special teams line up at the opposing 40. All but two players on the return team line up at the 35-yard line, not to move until the ball is received by a returner. The goal for the kicking team is to hit it in the landing zone, between the 20 and the goal line. If a ball lands or goes out of the end zone for a touchback, the ball is spotted at the 30-yard line. If it goes out of bounds, it's spotted at the 40 like it was before. Onside kicks also must be declared, thus eliminating surprise onside kicks. We'll definitely be complaining about these things in the future, but their newest gift to us comes with 2 games on Christmas. Wednesday football is back after a 4-year hiatus. The NBA is seething in the corner. The New York Jets are still trying. I don't know if this is a good or a bad thing considering last season's disaster. Would anyone like Zach Wilson for a Kit Kat bar? Too expensive? Is it the fact that ownership said they didn't have a backup QB last year? Good news, you have one now in Tyrod Taylor. Until he suffers another fluke injury like always. John Simpson and Javon Kinlaw signed to fill roles on the team, Kinlaw reuniting with Salah. The real acquisitions of note are gambles. The Achilles heel of left tackle fortified with the elite play of Tyron Smith, and the receiving core gifted a dynamic passing threat in Mike Williams. They'll be incredible assets to the Jets, if they can stay healthy. Considering they're playing on a literal field of death, I doubt this will be the case. And Tyron and Mike have spotty medical histories. We all know the key is in Aaron Rodgers. And it doesn't matter who they sign, if he isn't back to peak form, they're done. Maybe he's interested in other pursuits like politics. Now that's an arc I'd like to see.
New York Jets select Olu Fashanu, tackle, Penn State.
Let me show you the moment when the Jets realized they needed a left tackle. They neglected O-line last year and it killed their season. Olu Fashanu will hopefully fix that issue. Whether it be with Aaron Rodgers or someone else in the future is to be determined. The Jets have been cursed with lineman picks recently. Becton and Vera Tucker have been unable to stay on the football field. Placeholders signed to fill gaps have been overmatched and underwhelming. Fashanu needs to have immediate impact. The expectations on him will be immense, and he has the talent to make it happen. Now, if it does, that's for time to tell. No matter what the Jets do, they cannot escape the memes. Everything they do blows up in their face. Just look at what happened last year. And this summer's starting to be more of the same. Hassan Reddick was a logical acquisition until he realized he had to play in New Jersey. I'd also hold out and demand a trade if I had to suffer such a fate. Endless talent, but lacking a keystone. If they're lucky, Aaron Rodgers will last at least 8 plays this year. 2023 was all the baggage without any of the production. His former Packers grifting the team blind. The hope is that this year they won't be the flock of sheep without a shepherd to guide them. They spent all offseason scrambling to fix their porous offensive line and probably curse MetLife turf to only tear the ligaments of their opponents. If they can stay healthy, get Hassan Reddick to see Jesus. Aaron Rodgers turns back the clock and the defense keeps dominating, the Jets can make noise. Problem is, that's a lot of ifs. And knowing this team's history, more than likely to be hilariously painful. The AFC is a lot like recent years. Very wide open, but seems to lack the true power that it once had. Most of it has to do with general aging and salary cap constraints, but there's a lot of intrigue and probabilities to go around. You can make an argument for many teams here to make the playoffs, and that's a good thing for us all. The AFC East particularly has a new opening. While it's available, I still feel that Buffalo squeaks by despite competition from the Jets and Dolphins. The AFC North, it's still the Baltimore Ravens. They've always been a strong regular season team. The AFC South is very interesting. Every team's got a legit shot, but I'm choosing the Texans due to their talent level. The AFC West is still the Chiefs because God hates us all. But wild cards? Damn, that's tough. I'm going with Cincinnati, the Jets, and Jacksonville. Honestly, just throw darts in a billboard and you'll have a better chance at picking them. Such is how we all like it. Preferably with endless chaos. Good news, if you're a great cornerback in the NFL, it's time to reset the market. Michael Carter, you're a strong piece to the Jets defense. And the time has come for your award. A nice payday making you the highest paid slot corner in the NFL today. It probably won't be for long, but the bag has been secured. You know who else got a few bags? Patrick Surtain. Denver's cornerstone's been worthy of a huge raise for a while. He got paid. Big time. All of the money to become the highest paid cornerback in league history. For 5 minutes. Literally. Getting jealous, Jalen Ramsey snuck up from behind and took that title with a sleeper hold. What has Jalen done to earn that title again lately? I don't know. Might be desperation by Miami? Probably? Hey, if the cap keeps going up and people are throwing out free money, why wouldn't you take it? Life's short, get your bag or 6. Two franchises eager to reset after rough endings. The Jets hope to have Aaron Rodgers for more than 4 plays. San Francisco is dead set on Lombardi's revenge, with Christian McCaffrey out of commission an hour before kickoff. Yet Jordan Mason knew he was starting on Friday? Who the hell needs CMC anyway? With Mason and an army of weapons, the Niners didn't skip a beat whatsoever. Methodical and precise against one of the best defenses in football. Master Shanahan crushes his former apprentice's craft at every given opportunity. There was nary a counter or parry, only pummeling into submission. This wasn't just a clinic. It was a message. Stand in the Niners' way and face their wrath. Aaron Rodgers' proud head will be displayed in front of their stadium, as has always been in his career. At least he didn't go down to hilariously painful injury again. Just watch everything around him fall apart instead. Titans had an actual quarterback, they'd be 2-0. I'm not joking. I said that Will Levis would be what makes or breaks this franchise. He's breaking them. This dude goes from competent to an inbred from Appalachia in no time at all. I only need one play to prove my point. What is this, Will? What the fuck is this? A backwards lateral in the red zone? They teach you not to do that shit in middle school. This moment cost the Titans the game. And it wasn't as if the Jets were running away with anything. Their offense was okay, but nothing world-beating. Tennessee's defense was holding firm just like last week. And like last week, the same mistakes keep coming up all the way down to the blocked punt. The Calvin Ridley's out here catching things that he wouldn't have dared dream of in Jacksonville, and it's suddenly a tie game. It's gonna come down to who blinks first. Since Mayo Man's keen on going 3 and out, Aaron Rodgers flashes some of that old talent and slings the ball down the field. Cue Braylon Allen pissing off fantasy owners everywhere with a nice touchdown, and it's panic time. The Titans get back into the red zone with a chance to tie late, but Will Levis couldn't break a defensive grip. Who needs a Son Reddick when the Jets win like this? Oh, right, the Tremaine Johnson injury. Get back in the surrender, Cobra, Will. Or did you lateral that backwards, too? I feel like we just lost one of the greatest comfort foods of the meme world. No matter what chaos and uncertainty there was out there, we could always come home to watch New England's biannual teabagging of the Jets. But it didn't happen that way. This felt like revenge for years of being a punching bag pent up and exploding like a fireball on every play. The Patriots look solid for a rebuilding team for 2 weeks, but here we get what we thought they were. Aaron Rodgers in New York imitated the Boston Tea Party, but they're throwing Jacoby Brissett overboard. Get that man some Toradol and a law firm. He should sue for financial compensation with how he's getting destroyed in the pocket. Battered to only 40 yards of offense in the first half. Just a relentless beatdown by the Jets, flashing their potential on both sides of the ball. You know, Brissett's had his fun. Hey Drake, how'd you like to die? The drive in garbage time is his baptism by fire. Meet the Jets defense. He'll be hanging out a bit more to come. Miserable, plodding, mucky, rain-soaked football as far as the eye can see. Hurricane Helene forced Denver to practice on a tennis court this week. And neither Jet nor Bronco could do a damn thing in this shitty weather. Gaze at this play-by-play. Only the American mind can comprehend such brilliance. This is one of the greatest football games I've ever seen. Punting. More punting. Missed kicks. Fumbles. Even more punting. It's so beautiful. A situation so stuck that Bo Nix had -7 passing yards in the first half. That is not a typo. Yet the Jets themselves couldn't break the weather nor Denver's defensive grip. And then something amazing happened. The Broncos did offense. Actual offense. Bo Nix threw a passing touchdown. Anything is possible. Except for the Jets offense doing much of anything. Field goals are traded. Denver rides to a 1-point lead. Neither offense can do much of anything. And Aaron Rodgers gets to be eaten alive by a young and hungry defense. Now, if only Denver could kick a field goal in these conditions, the Jets are going to get another chance. And they'll get into range themselves, but it's a 50-yarder. In these conditions, good luck.
Snap, Hennessy, hold, Morstead, 50-yarder! No good!
The Jets have to be kicking themselves. Any other scenario, they destroy the Broncos, but weather was the ultimate equalizer. Both of these teams are now 2-2. Denver is 2-2. Abandon all logic at the door, the Broncos are riding to a winning streak. Good God. No matter what teams the NFL throw out in London, the chaps across the pond mostly get rugby scrums for matches. Obvious stereotypes collide. It's raining in England, and it's raining flags in the game itself. Or is that simply Brian Flores turning Minnesota's D into an army of berserkers? Aaron Rodgers is looking like complete ass in these conditions. Be it by Rip Van Ginkel putting him to sleep or just overthrowing his receivers for interceptions. But hey, he did get 60,000 receiving yards in his career with over 50 passing attempts and no running game to speak of. The frustrating part is that the Jets defense knows Sam Darnold's weaknesses. They studied them when he was an apprentice. A potential MVP candidate was brought to heel and made mortal. The Jets' back 11 were doing a job, yet their offense still can't capitalize. Aaron only has to be league average and they make the playoffs. He can't even be that. They get all of his cancerous traits without any of the production. Even on the final drive, when the Jets team makes roughly their 16th stop of the day, Prime Rodgers would have carried this team on his back. They're praying that Aaron does the minimum, yet he's only broken. Limping down the field with a low ankle sprain and a back-breaking interception to end the game. Someone should make a vaccine for this team infection. Minnesota style hasn't been the prettiest, but they are 5-0. You gotta give that some praise. Sometimes you need a bit of luck and elbow grease from Flores. The Vikings sure haven't had a ton of it in their time. Nothing is disappointment like the New York Jets. Despite their gobs of talent throughout the roster, they repeatedly run themselves over in an effort to squeeze out hilarity. Lol Jets is a staple. They went all in on Aaron Rodgers, and the only buzz is Aaron on podcasts. A 2-3 start requires change, and maybe a lot of it. Why is Nathaniel Hackett here? Talk conspiracies with Rodgers? Sure as hell is awful at calling plays or running an offense. Colin Yano's Slint, we need to overthrow a tyrant. But you know what the difference between a conspiracy and reality is? About 4 to 6 hours. Fire Hackett from play calling duties? Oh no, Robert, we're firing you! Get the fuck out, Saleh! You had severe flaws here anyway, nobody's gonna care if you're a scapegoat. Strange, I thought he'd be great as a head coach, but the Jets happened. Aaron or Woody Johnson pulled a power play maneuver. A drastic and extreme jolt to try and wake the team up from malaise in week 5. Defensive coordinator Jeff Ulbrich is the interim HC. But I figured either Peterson or Sirianni would have been the first to be fired. Saleh was like problem number 8 on the Jets. They think Todd Downing might be good at running plays. Burn everything. Just burn it and start anew. The team's lost in fog. Woody needs to go back to being an ambassador for the sake of the Jets. When things go south for a franchise, we laugh and mock their failure. When this sort of stuff happens to the Jets, it feels like an old standard. To err is human. To jet is repeated. Hassan Reddick was a sound buy in the offseason. New York needed an edge rusher to replace Bryce Huff, and Reddick was a luxury good for Philadelphia. Only problem was Hassan. He's held out since the trade. He's become the modern prodigal son. Finding him, yelling at him, and pleading with him hasn't worked. They even offered him an extension, paying more money than he was getting this year, yet still rejected it. His agency threw their hands in the air and cut ties. Finally, New York's run out of patience and is allowing him to seek a trade out. Lol Jets is renewed without the team even doing anything wrong here. I respect it. He's a man of conviction. If he doesn't want to play for the shitty Jets, no gold or jewels in the world can change his mind. We should all strive for such wise judgment in life. Aaron Rodgers has begun his purge to forge the new-look Jets. Jeff Ulbrich is puppet of Manchukuo. Todd Downing calling plays and a lateral move rivaling his jet sweeps with the QB. This is as must-win as it gets. Home crowd, an in-division rival, and a chance to shed old narratives. It'll be a lot uglier than it reasonably should. New York squandering shots to lead despite the defense trying to hold Josh Allen. They really can't. All seems lost with Buffalo pulling away at the end of the first half, but then the bailout.
Here we go. Up into the air, into the end zone, and now the other official saying touchdown.
Aaron Rodgers still has something left in the tank. He's on the decline, but he can still throw the Hail Mary. Wait, it's not Detroit of the playoffs. This has to be illegal. No, it is. The Jets taking center stage in their own house. My friends, the real stars of the show wore different uniforms tonight. The ref ball. Jesus Christ. So many flags flying everywhere, I thought I was in front of the UN building. The NFL decided that there was too much of this pesky football happening and wanted everyone to see the Zebras working at law firms during the week. 22 penalties between both teams. And those were just the ones accepted. Most of these infractions were bullshit, phantom, called to cover the over for penalty yardage on DraftKings or all three. There was a penalty called for improper conversation with an official. What were they talking about, the class action lawsuit? Aaron Rodgers, a man whose injury was responsible for roughing the passer ref ball increasing tenfold, is calling this stuff out. Perhaps he can teach his receivers to catch or his linemen to block, even after being gifted countless opportunities to get back to 500. Even as Tyler Bass makes a mockery of anything resembling field goal kicking, New York lives up to the stereotype. When there's defeat inside a victory, they'll do anything to reach it. Failed drives aplenty. Greg the wide left leg not only hitting one upright, but two of them. And as a coup de grace, Mike Williams being eaten alive by the MetLife Turf Monster to give Buffalo a game-stealing pick. Sean McDermott, you may serenade Josh Allen and 9/11 allegories for the right to be 4-2. This was such a Jetsy way to lose. The last 2 years, they were a quarterback away. Now they have a better QB, but lost everything else. I bet Robert Saleh's gonna be Trotsky'd in the morning. It's panic time, East Rutherford. Aaron Rodgers ain't happy. He'll say he has no power in New York, but let's be real. If he can cast all the blame on Mike Williams for him missing a wide-open Breece Hall, he'll do it. Devontae Adams is pissed off in Raider Nation. He will be reunited with Aaron no matter the cost. Las Vegas had an asset with depressed value, yet still got everything they wanted and then some. A conditional third-rounder that could become a second, and the Jets taking on the rest of his contract. There are 2 more years on the deal without restructures or release. Is it completely desperate? Oh yeah. It's totally gonna solve their issues in kicking and coaching too. Joe Douglas has become a puppet. Mike Williams, you failed since you tripped trying to adjust to an underthrown ball. Aaron's not only going to throw you under a bus, he's putting your carcass on the open market. You sure you were only a Devontae Adams away from making a push, Jets? If this Steeler game said anything, you're so fucked you may as well be named Alexis Texas. Against a team riding the debut of Russell Wilson and a coach going Lone Ranger, New York only rode the same old ride as they have before. A dead franchise before them with a fan base wanting Justin Fields and the game suffering through a 15-6 deficit before half. Like Donald Trump in attendance, perhaps they should have stopped the count. Pittsburgh proceeded to score 31 unanswered points. Turns out Devontae can't solve their lack of a running game, shitty kicking, or surprisingly bad defense. Wasn't this defense supposed to be elite? You're giving up over 400 yards to the Steelers? You suddenly can't stop the run? Russ was throwing ducks and go routes to George Pickens all game and they still couldn't stop them. They needed this win badly. And all New York did was butt fumble like they butt fumbled everything before. Know how bad the Jets were? Pittsburgh scored 37 points in a game. The first time it's happened since 2021. I forgot what this felt like. An offense that might be slightly competent. In this NFL, such a weird feeling. Aaron Rodgers handpicked his team and it's hilariously gone to complete shit. He'll snark at the media for it, he'll be okay. There is always a yin to the yang of life. Lomets takes a reprieve, a local franchise must take its place. How nice of the New York Jets to eagerly step in to maintain balance. It's an easy opponent for a team that needs a win as bad as Woody Johnson needs a brain. New England has nothing left. We're only hoping Drake May's out with a concussion. This should have been a win before they even bothered to step foot on the field. But that's why Lowell Jets is a staple in the modern NFL. A lead in the second half? Simply give up a big punt return in the third quarter, giving them perfect field position to get an easy touchdown. Clutch field goals? Not with Greg the White left leg, you aren't. Aaron Rodgers squeezing out whatever's left of his talent is nice. It'd be even nicer if they were able to convert the two-pointer. Nothing is truly more exhilarating than a supposedly elite defense crumpling into a ball against the powerful might of Jacoby Brissett and Kayshon Boutte. He of 10 fucking catches in his NFL career. That's what drives New England to a win and hysterical laughter all the way to the locker room. The Jets fancy themselves as legitimate contenders, yet they're being teabagged by the Patriots. Aaron Rodgers handpicked a Super Bowl contender on paper, brought in all of his buddies, hastened an organizational coup, added even more of his buddies, and is all but de facto dictator. It's like Le GM without the rings. Aaron's All-Stars are a shitty football team. They were better under the goddamn MILF man last year. Fucking hilarious. The comedy of the season. Rodgers doesn't have the ability to overcome it anymore. All the cancer without any of the chemo. Welcome to Locale of the Week. Aaron will blame everyone else for his inevitable descent into madness. Beware of spooky and ghastly sights on Halloween. Enter a haunted place with limbs and ligaments scattered throughout MetLife Stadium. There will only be horrible football in this house of abominations. Only the worst of what the NFL has to offer. Fumbling away as the evil chases them at every turn. Hunting Malachi Corley. Seriously, Malachi? You pulled a fucking Deshaun Jackson? Did you not pay attention in class or something? Instant locale of the week. Get the fuck out of here, Corley. Get out. Out. I don't want to see you or the Jets anymore. Got so many damn chances to do something, but the offense is dead on arrival. Standard Thursday night football. Houston can't do jack and shit either, so all they need is fucking something. Jesus, Jets, can you not be pathetic? At least they're finally scoring points in the second half. And the Texans are doing their standard begging their opposition to win the game. It's a long drive, but New York has third and long. No, I'm not expecting much here.
Four-man rush. Rodgers to the end zone. And Wilson, can he one-handed and stay in bounds?
Jesus Christ, Garrett Wilson literally did the Jordan pose. Apparently we all have to drink cayenne pepper and water this week. Donate your paycheck to Garrett. Jets get to pretend that they're still relevant as they rise from a ghastly affair to get to 3-6. Houston got too generous, and the team finally bit their damn hand. Am I surprised that it happened? Not really. The Jets were favored for a reason. They've been pulling this shit all year and they look extremely fraudulent right now. Do they even have an offensive line? They're one step away from picking up guys up the street, it's so bad. Stroud got sacked 8 times and could do nothing. Not to mention they just lost Kenyon Green for the year, but considering how he struggled, that might be for the best. This is a lot more than losing wide receivers. This is just embarrassing. Get your fucking shit together, Texans. And do it now. Yes, Jets, Robert Saleh was totally the main problem with the team. Firing him was gonna solve every single issue on display. I mean, they did win a game last week. The self-inflated momentum was really riding high until they get ass-blasted in Arizona. And I mean full enema. Cleaning out the colon and ripping out the prostate bad. The Cardinals look to be a completely different class of football team. At least they could complete passes. At least they can defend. At least Kyler still has his talents as a quarterback. New York has absolutely none of this. Bringing in Devontae really solves something indeed. The question of if Aaron Rodgers is cooked. This was the worst performance of his career. An offense that can't do anything close to enough to compensate for an unbelievably shitty defense. This was supposed to be an elite unit. They can't fucking tackle. They're lost in their own damn sauce. The Jets think they're relevant. That's so cute. Here are the Cardinals to slap them back to reality. Honestly, the most decisive victory they've had in... I honestly can't remember. Keep being snarky, Aaron. It'll definitely help you when you complete the cycle and become a Viking next year. All the Jets needed was a league average Aaron Rodgers and they'd make the playoffs. Oh, if I can only slap some sense into myself a few months ago. New York's season has continued its relentless spiral into death and destruction. Indianapolis has caved and is starting AR5 after a needed benching. And he did not go 5 for 30 today. Against the Jets, he teased the upside that had scouts ogle him at the draft. He didn't just serrate this group at MetLife, he fucking bulldozed them. I don't know if this says more about AR or the Jets. They, as an entire organization, haven't just regressed, they've devolved into the anti-team. Even Flacco would have torched these fuckers. This defense is dog water. And they're somehow hanging with Indy despite every chance given to let them be mollywogged. The Colts defense has its flaws, but Aaron doesn't have the ability to throw it deep like he used to. So it's merely dinking and dunking for touchdowns. The Jets defense? Nothing. Just nothing. And it's neck and neck deep in the fourth with Gangrene up by 5. New York just has to make a stop. And they shut down their leg. Full gunk and stank for the entirety of the drive. A disaster and then some. With Anthony Richardson's arm and legs, the reality is in sight. Another Colts win by drunkenly stumbling into one. And Indy's up by 1. But this moment is what Aaron Rodgers was made for. The final drive. He's done this a million times before. Heroics and elite play with plenty of time on the clock to bail out an incompetent team. The deal with the devil is gifting them unnatural opportunities. They completely fuck it up. This is your savior, Jets. This year has been the butt-fumbliest butt fumble to have ever been butt fumbled. They once again chose poorly at every turn and the whole team's imploded on itself. Season DOA. The defense has cratered since Saleh's firing? No fucking shit, Sherlock. Next you're gonna tell me that Rodgers has visibly declined thanks to injury and age. So the fucking team, Woody. You're a joke without end. The Jets obviously can't point the finger at the two men primarily responsible for the shit show. Aaron's grand experiment in New Jersey has been an unmitigated disaster. Dreams of playoff glory spiraling into a chasm. The defense has regressed into a bottom-tier unit. The offense is roughly in the same boat. All this talent fading into absolutely nothing? Someone else has to get axed for it. And they obviously aren't choosing Rodgers. Joe Douglas, my old chum. These last few years haven't been you, but you had a bunch of demerits before this anyway. Your newest title, scapegoat. 2023's failure to assemble an O-line and backup QB are on you. Drafting Zach Wilson was on you. No one cares that you built up that defense and were handcuffed by Rodgers these last few years. The maggots can feast on your carcass right next to Saleh. Because the real victim in this story is the guy who has a worse win percentage with the Jets than Zach Wilson and Sam Darnold. Considering the sky-high expectations this franchise had, New York is an easy candidate for Locale of the Week. Douglas and Saleh may have had their flaws, but they aren't the major issues in the grand scheme of things. This year is a flaming wreck. This game wasn't just drunk, it had been in the corner blacked out for hours. Drinking 6 dirty martinis beforehand and drowned itself in cosmos throughout the affair. Stumbling through handles of vodka like the Seahawks special teams stumble around. They saw the horrors of Titans special teams and wanted to one-up them. Simply standard Seattle things. A broken play leading to a 99-yard return touchdown by Kene Nwangwu. 2 fumbles on kickoff returns. That's just the average game for these boys. If you didn't expect a heart attack from them, you're either a neophyte or an idiot. That also goes for the Jets. You have a 21-7 lead headed towards another payday. Twilight Aaron Rodgers happened. Horrifically overthrowing a wide-open Garrett Wilson. Followed by a gift right to former Jet Leonard Williams. The greatest blessing in the NFL. Thick 6. We shall officially dub this day as Leonard Williams Day as he conquered his former team with ease. What do you want me to say? The Jets suck. We've known this for weeks. After that Nwangwu TD, there was nothing from their offense. Silence. No points on the board for almost 3 quarters. Devontae Adams was the final piece. They don't even have a fucking foundation. Now it's just hoping the defense can hold their own. For at least one goal line stand. Be awful nice if the offense could respond in kind. Not with a fumble. Cough that shit up like it was phlegm. With it now being a 2-point deficit and Geno Smith eager for revenge of his own, all it's gonna take is a defensive collapse to do it. Seahawks 4th and 6 incoming. Cue a too many men penalty on the defense. Then amplify it with defensive pass interference to undo a turnover on downs. 4th and 1 stop? You mean a horse collar tackle. You think this is a fumble? How cute, that's actually an incomplete pass. And then, well, McDonald's offsides. The defensive collapse is complete. Seattle steals the game away when they had no business winning. Worst of all, DJ Reed's response to this is to blame the refs? Really? 3-9 and the team had 12 penalties, my dude. Your offense is pathetic. Nope. The ref ball was bad, but that's merely a symptom. New York is awful. Maybe those rumors of them putting Aaron to pasture might come true after all. Seattle is 7-5 in the most hilarious way possible. Once again, standard Seahawks things. It's that time of the year again, when the playoffs start to peek into the picture and we discuss the scenarios at hand. Such a chaotic time, but not really for the AFC. Their picture's pretty much set, barring a collapse or two. Kansas City and Buffalo have already punched their tickets to the dance. Pittsburgh will most likely with another win. Houston's only saving grace is that their division is ass and they have tiebreaker over the Colts. Baltimore, the Chargers, and Denver bring up the surprising wildcards of this conference. Indianapolis is still gunning for that final spot even if it's a long shot. Miami and Cincinnati are still alive, but barely. There's been a lot of disappointment for teams this season, but there's still a chance they remembered the rules.
Don't get eliminated!
No margin for error, Dolphins. The Jets may be dead men walking, tormented by locales of past and present, but Miami's got their own problems to worry about. Mostly that their offense is good, yet it can't convert most of their opportunities into touchdowns in the early going. Jason Sanders is a quality kicker, but if you don't have an unbelievable defense, it's going to be more than a cardiac event. Guess who doesn't have the greatest unit on that end? If you guess Miami, you're correct and win nothing. It might not be the worst one on the field here somehow, but it just goes to show the struggles they must endure. Aaron Rodgers of old has made his return in the Miami sun. His first game throwing for over 300 yards since being immunized. I didn't realize it had been that long. And thanks to his resurgence and an offense finally starting to live up to preseason hype, the Jets have an 8-point lead in the fourth quarter. We know that isn't lasting too long. It's a touchdown and tie game faster than you can say Tunga Vailoa. Pretty corny. It's about par for the course with this channel. Don't forget to dislike and unsubscribe. After short drives by both teams, New York has a chance at glory for once. Pushing the envelope and making things very steamy down here. The Jets can finish these fools in their playoff dreams in one fell swoop, yet they can't. They settle for the field goal. Trusting the defense would have been a very sound decision. If this were 2023, this New York sack exchange is cratered as if it's a shitcoin. Get a celebrity endorsement, give them a few bucks, then pull the rug on the suckers that bought in. Miami gets into field goal range for the sake of Colonel Sanders' leg, and he delivers his unique blend in between the uprights for overtime. Do you think Aaron's gonna get a shot to win it? Sorry kids, these are Jonnu Smith hours. Arthur Smith swells with pride somewhere in Pittsburgh because this offense apparently runs through him. The deadliest weapons are the ones you save for last.
Good time to the end zone. Got it! Smith, touchdown! The Dolphins win!
Miami scrapes by with the most crucial of wins to keep their season alive. The car may be all but totaled and missing both side mirrors, but it got to the finish line. The inevitable outcome for the Jets is confirmed. A mighty fine butt fumble they've unleashed on the football world. The jetsiest jetting that's been jetted in a good bit.
Miss.
This is a tank bowl back in September. Two teams with playoff dreams shattering into a billion pieces before they hit the ground. A game that means pretty much nothing somehow becoming one of the closer matchups in the 1 p.m. window. In the wreckage of what was these grand monuments to pigskin, Jets and Jags fight to the death for nothing more than bragging rights. A shootout that brings us the feels of nostalgia at every turn. Mac Jones throwing like he's back in 2021 is merely a matinee performance. Behold the main show. Aaron to Devontae. A throwback to 2016 in all of its glory. It may have come months too late against one of the worst secondaries in football, but the magic is back. Rodgers unleashing hell with his old compadre to deliver the Jets a victory when the war's been long lost. You certainly aren't with Little Mac after all. Perfect. Behold, New York. A meaningless win that only leaves you even more bitter since it didn't happen earlier. If you aren't with the Jets at 4-10, don't hop on the bandwagon when they're 5-12. When you thought that things couldn't get more hilarious for the New York Jets, this shit happens. A disaster class of a season made even worse by the son of a bitch bumbling at the top of the food chain. Lol Jets is running wild across the NFL landscape. And the only way to celebrate is with an article from The Athletic. This past offseason, New York was in talks with Denver to acquire Judge Judy from the Broncos. An underachiever, yes, but a former first-round pick with possible untapped upside. They were close to a deal. Things were running smoothly, but there was a problem. His Madden rating. Only an 81? Normal dev? You think that's gonna improve the Jets? Woody's kids can find guys with superstar development in their sleep. The deal's off. That's not a joke. Woody Johnson nixed a deal for a player because of his Madden rating. This is the peak level of hilarity that this world truly needs. Logic and analytics don't hold a candle with a flawed rating system. Do you know how important the awareness rating is for a player's overall? If it's low, it could take down the entire operation. Everyone knows that Madden's a beloved franchise with no flaws to speak of. That game knew Judy would become a 1,000-yard receiver for the Cleveland Browns this year. Wait. Oh, Woody, nothing says sound decision-making than trusting your teenage sons to dictate the direction of your franchise. Letting them enter the locker room and making situations unbelievably awkward due to their lack of experience. Giving equal weight to schmucks online writing blogs and other outlets. By the way, who the fuck names their kid Brick? And who listens to their teenage kids when it comes to work? When Aaron Rodgers, the man who held a franchise hostage for 2 years and went to Egypt instead of minicamp, is the sane man in the room, you've got serious fucking problems. How do you make him look good? This year's far more than a butt fumble. It's a cataclysmic descent into the pits of hell. I'm thinking Woody Johnson's Madden rating is a 12. But if he spends enough money on Ultimate Team, he can push that right up through the ranks. Former times when Aaron Rodgers would play Matthew Stafford, it'd be an offensive showcase. It wasn't anything like that today. LA's offense would sputter for the most part. And the first half would be agony for anyone in attendance, but they simply had to wait this one out. Great news, Jets fans, you didn't punt the ball today. It may have resulted in only 9 points, but New York witnessed the transformation from agony to comedy. Endless butt fumbling on the field of play, emphasizing the horrors of what are the 2024 New York Jets. Turning over the ball on downs 3 separate times. Aaron Rodgers burned at the stake as if his opponents an offensive line are Ryan Clark sympathizers. Then add another turnover on downs to that. Finally miss a field goal for good measure. New York, you didn't pray enough for Anders Carlson. Honestly, the Rams didn't even do much, yet they never needed to. New York was sitting there beating themselves the whole damn time. They're gonna get the worst punishment possible. Woody Johnson's kids altering their ratings on Madden. Run it back. You're fucking trash that LA sweeps away for their own ambitions. Jets really does mean just end the season. It doesn't even matter that the Bills were lethargic in the first half yet again. They're facing the butt fumble. It would take them outright forfeiting the game to lose. Buffalo could have tripped over themselves imitating a Marx Brothers sketch, and it still would have ended up as a Bills touchdown most of the time. We've been over the Jets a billion times this year, so I'd just be repeating myself, but they themselves refuse to change up the formula. Shit everything. And it all starts with Mr. Rogers' abandoned neighborhood. QBR isn't a perfect stat by any means, but it's usually a good baseline for a player's performance. Aaron's QBR today? 1.2. One of the worst in the history of the stat. After failing to do anything, Rodgers all but benched himself in what could be his final game in the NFL, let alone the Jets. You have to pull the damn plug. He isn't just a cancer, he's a withered husk of his former glory. New York itself is a withered husk of a fool's hype. Buffalo secures the 2nd seed and more against a glorified scout team. Once again, just ignore the lingering concerns and celebrate the win. We're all just laughing at the Jets, you're good. And the winner of 2024 LOL Cow of the Year is... the New York Jets! Congratulations on recency bias, boys. I personally would have chosen Lee Hutton or the White Sox, but the Jets make a very strong case for themselves. You were hunting for a trophy? You earned this one, lads. Well done! We spoke of the Dolphins potentially having hope, but everything was against them in the art of war. It's not a team over 500, but conditions at MetLife are below freezing. And they'll have to rely on Pro Bowler Tyler Huntley yet again. He's not repeating what he did against Cleveland. Miami didn't just fail to show up in a must-win contest, they fell to a whimper, curling up into a ball simply to be put to sleep. When you make LOL Jets mellow out in favor of a new flare of destruction, you're finished. Counter Devon H. and Aaron Rodgers finally flashed his old form. It's against a bunch of imposters, but if this is his last game, he went out on top of a pile of dung. turning to a different shade of green, owning inferior franchises with his arm delivering goodies to Devontae and Alan Lazard, his 500th touchdown secured, and more. Congratulations, now get the fuck out of New York and never return. It leads to a hollow Jets victory and a chasm of defeat. An absolute disaster for Miami. And I'm not just talking about this game. Mike McDaniel and Chris Greer staying put due to organizational apathy. Why is Greer still around again? Is it to cut Calais Campbell or trade Tyreek Hill? He's now pouting like his drops and wants out of this mediocre shit heap. If the Dolphins in the cold, the grass isn't greener on the other side. It just loses to anything over 500. Revenge for the lost 2023 campaign, eh? All they needed was league average quarterback play, we said. Well, their wish was granted on a monkey's paw. Sparingly. And it only resulted in the butt-fumbliest butt fumble that can be butt fumbled. I know the Jets in disaster seasons are commonplace, but this year crashed into the ground like it was the second coming of Shanksville. A year of what not to do in every facet of the organization. After struggling out the gate, they solely blamed Robert Saleh for it. It merely resulted in their elite defense imploding on itself. Brought in Devontae as a desperation move. Chemistry didn't come until it was well too late. And Aaron Rodgers? He's pretty much done. Just go to Minnesota and complete the cycle. All they got in this era was a brick and a publicly executed GM who had long been defanged. A failure that requires a new voice to revive a team lost at sea. Aaron Glenn's coming home. A former Jet hoping the Jets start yet another restart in an age full of them. You're gonna need it to try and entice Garrett Wilson to deal with the constant dysfunction. If Roy wants out, he'd just request his Madden rating to be dropped to a 75. That'll easily get Woody to cast him off to another team.